You see something, you hear something, you read about something, and you think that it would be beneficial to your life to start adding that to your daily routine, but then you start to realize that things are a little bit more difficult than you first anticipated. Sure, your motivation's at an all-time high when you first think that, hey, you know what, Monday morning I'm going to stick with that diet, and then you're all good for Monday, and then Tuesday happens, and then there's the little bit of a temptation to dive off on that, and then by about Wednesday you're starting to waver a little bit, and Thursday you're thinking you're close to the weekend, maybe you can hold on for that, but then Friday night everything goes kaplooey for you, and then you start to realize that, you know what, maybe that motivation is fleeting. You're going to have to start developing habits. You're going to have to start developing a routine in order to maintain your desired healthy lifestyle. You need to start fixing the bad habits in your life and start replacing them with good habits, because you can't just, this is the way that human beings are wired. You can't just start taking out bad stuff without replacing it with something else, because the absence of responsibility, the absence of meaning, normally leads to bad decisions. So we're going to talk about fixing bad habits here. I really like this article that Epoch Times has printed here. So we're going to try to go through this guy right now. You know, smoking takes years off your life. Yeah, way too many smokers, and I'm not going to know for as long as I should. Ultimately, that's their decision, but I wish they wouldn't. You wish you would stop checking your phone first thing in the morning? Don't do that. That's one of the worst things you can do in the morning. Just don't. Buy an alarm clock. But I use my phone as an alarm clock. Stop doing that. That's dumb. For a multitude of reasons, things that we might get into here, but just to let you know that there are electromagnetic signals that come out of your telephone at night, and it disrupts your sleeping pattern. That's actually been studied and proven. That's not just that old superstitious thing like what my aunt used to say. Here's a funny story. She thought that the microwave, legitimately, she was a very funny lady, she thought that the microwave would turn people gay, and that's why the homosexuality rates through the years have gone up, because of the invention of the microwave. Funny lady, very funny lady. Rest in peace. You're determined to start taking a daily walk, but no matter how firm your resolve the night before, you just can't bring yourself to get out the door in the morning. We all have things about ourselves that we wish were different. Habits that niggle at us. That's with an L-E. At us. Actions we take that we know aren't good for our health and well-being. We want to change, sure, but how do we do it? Very good question. How do you get into bad habits in the first place? Writing as a habit. Mark Bowerlin, PhD, Professor Emeritus, used to tell his students when I worked as a teaching assistant at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia, and a habit is something you do without thinking. A habit is repeated behavior that you do so often that it becomes automatic. As annoying as our bad habits are, habits serve a crucial function. They put our brains on autopilot so we no longer have to make conscious decisions about what to do. While this doesn't sound good, it actually is. Yes, there's a lot of speculation, a lot of old wives' tale when it comes to how many decisions your brain is wired for in a specific day. You remember Steve Jobs, right? The CEO of Apple, very successful man, a bit of a tyrant, different crises for a different day. But he was always wearing, the black turtleneck and then the blue jeans, and I forget, he just had, white running shoes or something. He'd wear that every single day. That was one of those automatic choices that his brain already knew, hey, guess what? First thing you wake up in the morning, put on the turtleneck, put on the jeans. One fewer cognitive decision that you have to make, therefore more of your brain capacity is already freed up because you have that on autopilot. That is a different section of your brain. It just knows exactly what to do. That's one of the benefits of just having an automatic response to trivial decisions you make throughout the day. Habits reduce cognitive load and free up mental capacity, so you can allocate your attention to other tasks, explains James Clear in his book Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. Yeah, again, not a lot of this is scientifically proven, but there is a pattern that is shown. The reason we humans want to automate, Clear writes, is because we have a limited amount of conscious attention that we need in our space to use it on the most important tasks. Your brain, Clear contends, is always working to preserve your conscious attention for whatever task is most essential. In other words, according to Clear, more or everyday behavioral is habitual, the more energy our brains will have to focus on and solve the bigger problems that come our way. Yeah, again, so James Clear has his book. I'm just going to take a look. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Mark Dispenza. I do believe it's covered up. It's just on my bookshelf over there. Very strange read. I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend it or not, but it was interesting. But it's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. He has several interviews online if you'd like to go ahead and engage in some of his teachings and some of his ideas. It's very interesting. The book itself is a little bit of a reach, but by all means, there's another avenue to check for creating better habits. Good habits have a way to better health. Yes, what that means is good habits aren't bad and of themselves, In fact, James Clear argues good habits give you better health, more financial freedom, and greater ability to learn new things. More responsibility equals more automation, therefore more free time. The old Jocko Willink saying, discipline equals freedom. The more regimented your day is, you know what you have to accomplish, you have that time afforded to do it. Therefore, once that's all done, guess what? You're still going to have hours ahead in your day that you can go ahead and you can work a little bit harder on your side hustle. You can go out and you can, pick those weeds in the yard that you've been looking at and wanting to accomplish. According to Clear, you're always being forced to make decisions about simple tasks. When should I work out? When should I go right? When I pay the bills? It's only by making the fundamentals of life easier to create the mental space needed for free thinking and creativity. So the issue is not if you want to be able, you don't want to have habits, my mistake, or routines that help you live your life more smoothly, but you don't want to engage in habitual behaviors that reduce your health and well-being. Exactly. Schedules are important. Successful people use them for the reason of just doing that, regimenting their day. But schedules have a negative connotation to them because people see them as things that you have to do, okay? And you always have things that you have to do. But do they have a payoff at the end of it? Because most people's days are full of just real trivial things that really don't matter and they don't really add up to anything at the end of the day. So take some time to figure out what is essential to your day, what has an end point to it, what has a goal that you wish to achieve at the end of it, and what is just meaningless stuff that you do to just fill up your time. Because you ask yourself those questions and you're going to realize that there's a lot of stuff you do on a daily basis that isn't really good for you, doesn't really help you, doesn't really grow your mind or grow your body in any productive manner. Becoming aware of what you want to change, very important. Very, very, very important. The first step to fixing bad habits is awareness, says Kate Haney, author of How to Be a Better Person, 400 Ways to Make a Difference in Yourself and Around the World. That's a lot of ways. Wow. Who also hosts a daily podcast by the same name. Okay. The simple truth is you can't change a habit you don't know you have. That means you need to raise your awareness of the habit itself as well as what it's costing you. Exactly. Jordan Peterson has a very, very famous quote, and it's something I think about often. Okay, I'll paraphrase here because I won't get it down verbatim, but if something is troubling you, take a moment to sit at the foot of your bed and ask yourself, and you really, really, really want to know the answer if you're going to ask yourself these questions. And asking questions is indeed important because you know the answers, okay? Ask yourself, what do you do on a daily basis, or what are you doing that is detrimental to your performance, that is detrimental to your life? Because if you really want to know the answer, and if you're really asking the question, you know what's holding you back. You know what you're doing that is catastrophically stupid to making you a more productive person. Because you know if you're not following your diet, okay? You can tell everybody I'm sticking to a diet of salad and chicken and lean meats and fish, but then you just leave off the fact that you wake up in the middle of the night and you have a half a sleeve of Oreos. Nobody else needs to know, but you know. Or you say, oh, I wake up early every morning, I went to the gym, don't worry about it. You can get away with that for so long, but you'll know. You'll know. There are little things that you can do that eventually add up and create the change. You just have to be honest with yourself, and that's the most important thing. Switching off those excuses and turning that into honesty and accountability, it's one of the best gifts you can give to yourself. There's a couple more points, but we basically already hit on all of those. Automating, being accountable to either yourself or to somebody else. Write it down if need be, if you don't have anybody else that you can reach out to. Think of taking up journaling, writing down what you do on a daily basis, and then you can go back and reflect on your performance in a week's time. If you did stick to your wake-up schedule, if you did stick to your exercise schedule, if you stuck to your diet, all of those things, you can write it down. Don't take it As if you broke it once, oh crap, I got to start all over on a brand new week. No, no, no. You can start that next minute. Don't wait another hour. If you're really focused, if you really want to accomplish something, you screwed up in the past, that's fine. You can't get that time back, but you know what you can change? What you do in the future, what you do in the present. Because changes don't have to take time. You can do it like that. As Harvard professor of Chinese history, Michael Pute, PhD, and his co-author Christine Ghost-Low, PhD, explain in the book, The Path, What Chinese Philosophers Can Teach Us About a Good Life. Not everything. I have great reverence for Chinese history and Chinese people. It's just, if you're familiar with my main channel, Chinese Communist Party, not so much. So, see the Chinese thing, I might have shuddered if you're paying attention to the video when I seen that, but it's the Chinese people and it's Chinese philosophy. It's been co-opted to mean something completely different, so don't mind me, just working through things in my head, of course. The Chinese philosopher Confucius explores the minutiae of life in the Analytics, the collections of conversations and stories that his students compiled after he died in 479 BC. The book details how high Confucius held his elbows, who he talked to when he walked into a room, and how he ate his meals. While attention to these small details hardly seems a great philosophical importance, I don't see why it wouldn't. Confucius believed the key of how you are living your life on a daily basis was the key to finding the answers to big philosophical dilemmas. Exactly. If you want to see a book that's just a little bit newer, about 600 years newer, Meditations, Marcus Aurelius, or Letters to a Stoic by Seneca. All of those books were right at the flip over point from BC to AD, and they are just as prescient as when they were written as they are right now. So just because something is old doesn't mean it's insert president joke. Confucius taught his disciples that small things matter. How you do anything is how you do everything, is how my friend Dave Norrie, an international known trick cyclist, puts it. Yeah, that's an old axiom that's been around for as long as time itself, and it's completely true. I'll just give you a little tidbit before we wrap up. I always judge secretly, okay, or make my first impressions of somebody of how they do the little things, okay? So let's just say somebody comes over to your home, okay? A friend of yours, the friend of your wife or your husband or somebody like that comes over. Always pay attention to how they arrange their shoes when they come into the home. If they're just kicked off all willy-nilly, I know that person is going to be troubles down the line. But if they come into your home, they ask where to put their belongings and they hang them up. If they hang up a coat appropriately, if they place their shoes alongside the other shoes and they're nice and lined up like that, generally have a better opinion of that. That's just little things I do, okay? And maybe that's just being a little neurotic, and I don't necessarily hold that to be fast and true of everything, but it's more often correct than it is incorrect. It's like people too. They might have an absolutely clean room and everything might be orderly, but you take a look in the closet and things are just waiting and they're just urging to just fall right out. How you do the little things is a good indication of how you're going to be doing everything. So basically, if you want to get rid of some bad habits, you need to start asking yourself the important questions. What are those bad habits that are negatively affecting me as a person? How am I going to go about changing those? How am I going to start implementing those? And how am I going to hold myself accountable to completing those goals? You have to have a clear picture of what you want in order to achieve it. And nothing is too small to start with. It could just be waking up 15 minutes earlier. It could just be saying no to that third cookie in the evening. If you don't think that you can make improvements in your own life, you're just not aiming low enough. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's incredibly true. Enjoy your guys' weekend. We'll catch you back Monday afternoon. I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.